My name is Anna Kidman, and I am 38 years old. I work mainly in design and interior decorating at my father's construction company. Although not the eldest daughter, I excelled in crafts and math from an early age. Since elementary school, my father envisioned me taking over his business one day, always saying, "Anna has a unique sense of style." This led to many afternoons and holidays spent with my father, exploring unique buildings across New York together. At the time, it seemed to my siblings that I was monopolizing our father's attention, which led to some fights. However, they now both support my intention to take over the business. In college, I majored in business administration, but a course called spatial design ignited my passion for interior design. I began asking my family to let me rearrange our living room and my siblings' rooms. By the time I graduated, I was drawn to a career as an interior designer, but I joined my father's company to avoid disappointing him. However, my father somehow learned about my true aspirations and decided to start a new interior advisor division for me. He said, "Anna, I want to make full use of your talents, do both design and interior decorating." However, I was concerned that some people in the company might not take this well, so I asked my father to keep our family relationship a secret. Consequently, very few people within the company knew about it. By incorporating interior planning into the existing design services, my father launched a new service that significantly boosted the company's performance. I have been able to do the design work I'm skilled at and the interior decorating I love, feeling fulfilled every day since joining the company. I owe all of this to my father. I also have a husband, Michael, whom I've been married to for 3 years. He works in sales at the same company. Michael has a larger-than-life personality and a knack for lifting everyone's spirits. He's the kind of person who can turn any moment into a joyous occasion. I often witness this during lunch breaks in the cafeteria, where his antics never fail to make me laugh. Hey everyone, listen up. Today is the cafeteria lady's 120th birthday. Let's all sing her the birthday song to celebrate. What? 120 years old? Ha! Did I just hear you laugh? Excellent. I've captured a beauty's laugh. That was the beginning of our conversation, and from there, we started dating. Michael's sense of humor and infectious laughter always brightened my days. Our engagement was smooth sailing, and I was filled with happiness. However, I hadn't found the right moment to talk about my father, and it felt awkward to bring it up myself. You know, my dad is the president of my company, seemed like it might come off as boastful. So, I kept missing the opportunity. But I figured he would understand once he visited my home. It seemed more natural than appearing arrogant. On the day we went to meet my parents, Michael seemed unusually nervous. On our way back, I finally broached the topic. "Were you surprised? Sorry for keeping it a secret. I thought it might sound pretentious if I mentioned it myself." What? Oh, the house. I had no idea Anna's house was such a mansion. Is your father a president or something? I guess. I knew it. Otherwise, you couldn't have such a mansion in New York. Huh? Michael, didn't you realize my dad? What about him? Did he have something on his cheek or something? I was so nervous I didn't even look up once. Right, so is there something wrong with your father? No, never mind. Some might criticize me for not disclosing the truth before marriage, but navigating a workplace romance, especially with my dad as the boss, was a delicate situation. After tying the knot, Michael and I plunged into a demanding new project that consumed our time and overshadowed discussions about my father. Often leaving the office near midnight, we'd unwind at a nearby diner. Sharing a life with a colleague meant mutual understanding of our hectic schedules, with Michael pitching in with household chores. Unexpectedly, Michael's father passed away, leaving his mother alone. Concerned, he proposed she move in with us. While I welcomed the idea, I worried our busy lives might overwhelm her. "We're busy, but Mom can help out, and I want to be there for her," Michael reassured me. Reluctantly, I agreed, knowing I couldn't deny his request. Living together changed everything. My mother-in-law, in her 60s, held traditional beliefs. Men worked outside, women managed the home. She criticized my career, labeling me mannish, and often made cutting remarks. One evening, when Michael did the laundry because I was late, she intervened. "Why are you doing this? It's your wife's job," she scolded him. Despite Michael defending me, she snatched the laundry away, declaring things won't be easy for her in my house. Michael later approached me apologetically, relaying his mother's stance. "Can you handle it, Anna?" he asked, citing our new living arrangement. Frustrated, I agreed reluctantly. The next morning, I found my mother-in-law had added her laundry to mine, continuing her critiques about my cooking and career. "Why work if you can't care for your husband?" she demanded. But when my mother-in-law learned my father was the company's president, she snapped, "You and your father are both fools." At first, Michael defended me, but gradually, influenced by her, he too began making disparaging remarks. "As a wife, you should have breakfast and clothes ready when he wakes up. You're failing." Living together, I discovered Michael was a devoted mama's boy, always eager for his mother's approval. He had a tendency to exaggerate, like claiming to be the top performer in the company when he won Employee of the Month. While impressive, his overall performance was average. His mother wholeheartedly believed his inflated tales, showering him with praise and reinforcing his behavior. As rumors circulated about the CEO retiring and Michael potentially becoming the next CEO, he eagerly embraced the idea, bolstered by the belief that his recent accolade had caught the CEO's attention. Despite my doubts, Michael was convinced he was the successor, rushing to share the news with his mother. Her ecstatic reaction echoed through the house, followed by demands to celebrate late into the night. From then on, my mother-in-law's criticisms and interference in our lives intensified. Resolute, I stood my ground. "My career is important. Dad believes in me," I countered. She seemed increasingly determined to prevent me from going to work, resorting to more underhanded tactics. One day, when I tried to wear my new heels that I had just bought, they were inexplicably soaking wet. My mother-in-law casually remarked, "Oh, I spilled water from the watering can while tending to the plants earlier. Looks like your new shoes are ruined now." It was clear her attitude stemmed from displeasure at seeing me enjoy the freedom to buy things. On another occasion, I caught her snooping through my work bag without permission. When I confronted her, she silently retreated, guilty but unapologetic. Her spiteful actions seemed relentless, creating an increasingly hostile environment at home. Meanwhile, Michael began to assert his authority over me, adopting a dictatorial attitude that mirrored his mother's disdain. Despite enduring these hardships, I clung to the hope that Michael would revert to his former self. However, my optimism waned as Michael's behavior grew increasingly foolish and arrogant, both at home and in the workplace. One day during lunch at the cafeteria, I overheard him confirming to a female coworker that he was indeed slated to become the next CEO. His boastful demeanor and the coworker's congratulatory tone left me seething with jealousy and disgust. It became evident that Michael's inflated ego and disregard for others had alienated him from colleagues, subordinates, and even superiors. Many openly expressed disdain for his domineering behavior, with some vowing to quit if he ascended to the CEO position. Michael's disrespect extended beyond the office gossip. He even made disparaging remarks about me behind my back, belittling my worth based on my inability to have children. His callous words revealed a deep-seated betrayal of our marriage vows. As tensions mounted, I found myself contemplating divorce, overwhelmed by the toxic environment created by both Michael and his mother. It turned out someone had informed the executives about Michael's behavior. They quickly relayed the news to my father, who, as the CEO, summoned me for a serious conversation. His disappointment was palpable as he urged me to divorce Michael immediately, citing not only the CEO rumors but also Michael's disrespectful conduct towards me. Overwhelmed by my father's concern and support, tears welled up as I finally found the courage to confide in him about the harassment from Michael and my mother-in-law. My father was furious, regretting that he hadn't intervened sooner. He assured me he would take immediate action to support me, emphasizing that Michael's betrayal was something he couldn't forgive. Shocked by the revelations and determined to confront Michael, I decided to verify the affair. Hiring a private investigator confirmed my suspicions with clear photographic evidence of Michael and his coworker together. Following my father's advice, I prepared to confront them, recording the conversation on my phone for clarity. Summoning Michael and my mother-in-law to the living room, I placed the envelope of evidence on the table. Emotions ran high as I revealed the incriminating photos. My mother-in-law's unexpected reaction stunned me further, confirming she knew about Michael's infidelity. Flustered, Michael and his mother attempted to downplay the situation, even suggesting the affair was acceptable because of supposed feelings for the other woman. Their dismissive attitudes and attempts to blame me only fueled my resolve. I demanded accountability, asserting my rights and dignity in the face of their callousness. As the tense confrontation unfolded, I maintained my composure, refusing to be silenced or belittled any longer. What? I exclaimed, incredulous at Michael's callous admission. Mom and I were actually planning to ditch you once I took over as CEO, he continued casually, handing me a brochure. This is where Amelia, Mom, and I will live. I've already signed the contract. I'm a celeb now, so you should leave. His words cut deep, shattering any remaining illusions I had about our marriage. Feeling a mix of devastation and anger, I realized how blind I had been to Michael's true character. Fine, I'll start preparing to leave, I replied, trying to maintain my composure. But know this, I will never forgive you both. I intend to sue you for emotional abuse, adultery, and defamation. Michael scoffed dismissively. Go ahead. With my influence, it won't be difficult to make your claims disappear. Keep barking if it makes you feel better. Is that so? I hope you will regret underestimating me. With that final retort, I called my father and asked him to come pick me up. He was already prepared and arrived promptly within 20 minutes. When he rang the doorbell, my mother-in-law answered with a barbed remark. Ah, you're the father of the foolish family, I see. Ignoring her jibe, my father simply stated, I've come to take Anna home. Without another word, I gathered my belongings and left behind the wreckage of a marriage, determined to pursue justice and rebuild my life. Foolish though I may be, I also hold the right to fire your son, my father declared firmly, his voice cutting through the tension in the hallway. My mother-in-law cocked her head, muttering under her breath, really like father, like daughter, before callously tossing my bag into the hallway. Your father's here. Hurry up and leave, please, she insisted, her impatience palpable. Witnessing this disrespect, my father's anger flared. He stood at the doorway, commanding, Anna, call Michael here. Hearing my father's commanding tone, Michael reluctantly followed me to the door. Well, I guess this is goodbye, he muttered to his mother with an air of resignation. However, as he caught sight of my father, his demeanor shifted abruptly. Oh, CEO. Michael gasped, his voice betraying surprise and fear. The realization dawned on my mother-in-law, who rushed to the door in a panic. What's happening? Sorry for the late introduction, but I am the CEO and owner of the construction firm where your son works, my father announced sternly, his authority now fully asserted. Tiff, the CEO? The one who appointed my son as the next CEO. Oh, thank you, my mother-in-law stuttered awkwardly, trying to express gratitude without fully comprehending the situation. Wait, aren't you Anna's father? What does this mean for the next CEO, Kidman? Oh, it's Anna. Her realization finally clicked, but it was clear she was still trying to process everything. My father, still seething with anger, turned his attention squarely to both of them. Firstly, madam, I've heard you've been quite nasty to Anna. No, right, Anna? I was a good mother-in-law, wasn't I? My mother-in-law interjected nervously, attempting to deflect blame. No, you did nothing but cruel and abusive from the start, I countered firmly, refusing to let her minimize her actions. My father, unrelenting, turned his attention to Michael. And you, how can you, as a man, order a woman around, treat her poorly, and even have an affair? Michael hesitated, clearly caught off guard by my father's directness. I'm well aware of the rumors at work. You think I'd make someone with your average performance the CEO? My father's tone was sharp, cutting through Michael's attempt to defend himself. Is that true, Michael? You said no one at work could match you, my mother-in-law interjected, her uncertainty palpable. Oh, well, Mom, Michael stuttered, unable to find a suitable excuse. Let's save that discussion for later, my father interjected firmly. And I've heard you've been demeaning Anna because she can't conceive. I didn't. Michael started to protest weakly. There are plenty of witnesses, my father continued, his voice unwavering. I'm sorry, Michael finally admitted, his bravado crumbling in the face of my father's authoritative presence. Even if she wasn't my daughter, this would still be a clear case of sexual harassment. Moreover, many in the company dislike your work attitude. Some have even quit. Our company does not tolerate any form of sexual or power harassment. You were terminated for compliance violations effective today. And no, there will be no severance pay. My father's voice was stern and final, leaving no room for argument. Later, I pursued legal action against Michael, my mother-in-law, and Amelia, seeking damages for the emotional and financial harm they caused me. Initially concerned about holding my mother-in-law accountable, the recordings from our confrontation provided crucial evidence of her involvement in the affair and her relentless harassment. This substantiated my claims, and I successfully obtained compensation from her. Amelia, upon learning of the situation from Michael, resigned from the company and promptly paid the $30,000 in damages she owed. Rumors circulated that she had ended her relationship with Michael, likely realizing his motives were tied to his perceived status and not genuine affection. In contrast, Michael and my mother-in-law have yet to fulfill their financial obligations. It appears they are facing severe financial strain. My mother-in-law, believing Michael would ascend to CEO, had accumulated debt purchasing expensive jewelry on credit. Now unemployed and with Michael terminated from his job, their financial situation has deteriorated significantly. Michael also faces substantial penalties for canceling the condo contract, pushing his debts over $200,000. While the money itself isn't my primary concern, I am adamant that they acknowledge and take responsibility for their actions. If they fail to comply with the court's orders, I am prepared to pursue further legal action. As for myself, I finally feel liberated from their malicious influence. Each day, I can approach my work with renewed focus and a sense of peace. Michael, visibly shaken and desperate, attempted to apologize and make amends as my father left. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law collapsed in a daze, finally confronted with the consequences of her and Michael's actions. The facade of their superiority shattered, leaving them exposed and defeated. As the reality of the situation sunk in, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over me. And don't forget about the alimony, I added coolly, addressing their earlier arrogance with a touch of sarcasm. Oh, wasn't Michael going to squash that once he became CEO? I taunted, not bothering to wait for a response as I turned and walked away from the scene. The weight of their deceit and mistreatment lifted from my shoulders, leaving me feeling liberated and empowered. My father and I discussed how I could make amends for the trouble caused at the office, and he suggested a subtle yet meaningful gesture, offering free lunches in the cafeteria until I felt the situation was resolved. I agreed wholeheartedly and promptly arranged for the $30,000 from Amelia to cover the costs. This initiative was warmly received by the staff and became a hit, with the budget lasting less than a week. Reflecting on this experience, I've grown significantly. It has taught me valuable lessons, both in handling challenges and in leadership. While I'm still developing into a leader like my father, the responsibility of being a future CEO requires me to lead by example and uphold high standards. This experience has only strengthened my determination to do so.